Simon Davis with It's a Fencer's Life, Lessons from the Trenches.
G'day. This is Simon, the Profitable Fencer, bringing your weekly podcast, A Fencer's Life, Lessons from the Trenches. This week, I want to jump on, and it's one of the biggest weeks we had last week in our fencing life, I suppose, for Australia anyway. We had the Fencing Conference and the Awards 2024 held down in Penrith at the Western Sydney Conference Centre, which was absolutely brilliant, I must say. I started off with a Wednesday afternoon pre-drinks and catch up with some of the people who could make it there, some of the new people and new fencers that have come down, and then kicked off with Thursday with the conference taking place, the suppliers day. There was a heap of suppliers there that we got to meet, got to see some new equipment around, some new technical designs around. And then the Thursday afternoon, we had the conference where we learned what's sort of happening in the industry in Australia and where we're going, and some of the things like that. And then the big awards night, big formal dinner and drinks, and again catching up with everybody and seeing the best of the best in the industry in Australia, which was absolutely awesome. Of course, followed by the after party that was held at Penrith Leagues Club, and had a few nightcaps over there. So all in all, an absolutely fantastic time. Big shout out to the winners who made the cut, to even all the people who made the top 10 finalists. That's an awesome achievement. One of the guys actually said to me he was a bit disappointed that he wasn't nominated for a few sections and he missed out on the cut. And my sort of response was that you're here, you're part of this industry, you've come down, you're mixing with all like-minded people. Whether you've won the award or not, even just to make the finalists, that is such a big achievement on its own. But even just being in the room with everybody else and talking with other fencers, like-minded people, is such a win on its own. A big shout out to the winners. There is a big book here. You won't be able to see it, the Australian Fencing Awards 2023. It's the skill level in this book, highlighting all the different types of genres and watching the different companies come together and compete, and the level of standards has risen so high. It is really, really good to see, and I'm just a wrap for that. So big shout out to all the winners. I'm not going to name them all because there's way too many. But what I will try and plan this year is to get around to each of the winners out of the book and talk to them on the podcast about their business and about their prowess in their business, in their area and in their particular niche that they've got, so we can get a feel for what's happening in our industry. Highlights from my team, North Coast Fencing, my business. We managed to make the top 10 finalists in Australia in 3 different categories. One was rural fencing, one was safety and security gates, and one was colorbond fencing. So we were absolutely rapt to do that. We didn't take home the big gong, or the big prize, but as I said, it's not about winning the big prizes there. It's nice to have the recognition. It's nice to have the certificates for just being in the top 10. We've been lucky in North Coast Fencing here in the far north coast of New South Wales. We've picked up 13 finalist awards in the last 3 years. So that's been really, really good and really good for our recognition for the little things that we do in our business. I really do want to give a big shout out to my team on the ground, actually, because they do a phenomenal job in all types of weather. It is really good for those guys to get recognised. As much as I go down to the awards, they don't come down to the awards with me, but next year maybe we might be able to get a few of them there. I just want to touch on why these awards matter so much and why they matter to me personally. the industry recognition is something that I've talked a lot about for years, and a lot about it in my podcast. But for years we have not had the recognition as an industry, and even with the things that are happening through my socials and through the Profitable Fencer, we see a lot of feedback from America and from a lot of fencers here in Australia. They don't want to be a part of it. They sort of dig their heads in the sand a little bit, and it's doesn't sort of help. Whereas what's happening in the industry worldwide, the whole game is lifting. We're lifting this whole game to a very high standard, which drives innovation, builds pride in the trade. Even though we're not a trade based at this yet, but we are starting to really ramp that up, which is awesome. Again, not me personally, but the Fencing Industry Australia is working on this. The Skills Committee are working on this. There was a highlight, pardon me, in the conference that there was a forum that we had, multiple choice form, that we had to vote on to see what is best taught for us as fencers, for newcomers, for apprenticeships and traineeships, what we can actually teach those guys and girls coming up through. So there was a whole form, a multiple choice. You could fill it out while we're sitting in the conference, and asking the different types of questions that we need to teach. And it went from work health and safety to business platforms to skill levels, on-site skill levels, and things like that. So there was 62 multiple questions, I think. So it was really, really helpful to see what the Skills Committee have been working on and how far they have progressed bringing this to light. As of date, there was a class held for rural fencing out in Orange in March or April last year, or might have even been May. I'm not completely sure what month it was, but there was a class held. There was 12 attendees turn up for that, and one of the big highlights out of that, after talking to Sophie from UNS Contracting, was that there's a big disconnect between the teachers and the students coming through and the actual fencers. So a lot of the people who turned up were actual farmers and not fencers. There were a couple of younger fencers there, and having that disconnect between what we need to teach them and what is actually getting taught at a skill level was a little bit disconnected on that side. So out of that, this form came up to say, righto, what do we need to teach them? So that was really, really good, and good progress for these guys to find that out. And this is what this industry is all about. Because we aren't an industry or haven't been an industry for a long time in the world or the eyes of the building world, that is now changing. And now because of that, we are lifting the bar to a bigger standard. And I encourage everybody to be a part of that. Some of the stories of the award-winning projects, the challenges, creativity, of problem solving, the guys that you talk to and the girls that we have an award for the women in the industry, and that is absolutely massive. Some of the driving force that these girls are putting through is brilliant for our industry, whether they're being innovative or back-end admin, or some of them are out in the field working alongside their partners and the men, and paving the way for women in the industry. And that's a really big plus for us as well. So that's kudos to the ladies. Well done. One of the big things I got out of the industry this year, for me personally, was looking around the rooms. We see a lot of older faces, and my sort of generation 50 plus. I'm not speaking for all of them, but it is an older generation. There are a lot of new ones coming through, which is really good. But then we saw some really young ones coming through, and that sort of blew me away a little bit, because we are such a hard physical side, and a lot of us learn from our parents or our fathers, especially if they were in the industry in the old school. And that's how I was brought into this industry, catching up with other fencers, talking about how they do things, how they're working their progress and their processes out to manage their jobs efficiently and effectively, has been really, really good. But seeing these young kids in the industry and looking at that really gives us a little bit of hope that we haven't lost that skill level, and we can pass that skill level onto these new generations of fencers coming through. So that, again, I keep talking about the raising the bar in the industry, and the awards itself is huge, whether you win or not. But seeing the inspiration or being inspired to improve systems and craftsmanship and professionalism and the way you deal with and communicate with your customers and your other fences around it. For me, it's not a us versus them anymore. It's a us together, and we can all come together so we can then band and unite on a good front. So if I have problems in my job that I need a bit of advice on, I can ring somebody up who's in automation, for example, which is not my field at all. I really suck at automation, I'll be honest. My brain just doesn't work in that pattern. So for me, when I do automation, I normally go and hire somebody else to bring in. So that leaves creates another little small business for somebody else, but it also leaves a lot of money on the table that I'm giving away to another contractor to do that style of things. Talking to some of the suppliers down there and do the training, and then some of the other installers who do automation all the time and who are good at it, we then can bounce off each other and get different ideas and fast track a lot of systems, a lot of processes. So then we can bring it back into our own business and get more profit out of doing the job in-house. So just being around the different people and the different fences and the suppliers, talking to them, learning to know what's out and about and changing and innovating in the industry is really good. So that's, for me, is what the Fencing Awards and the conferences is all about. It's catching up, networking, talking to new people, new suppliers. There was a big section about sustainability, which is something that, for years we haven't really thought about too much. We're thinking about throwing fences up, getting paid for them, moving on to the next job. So now we're looking at sustainability and getting the longevity out of each job for the best purpose, and sustainable and eco-friendly as well, which is really good. Some of the missed opportunities, I think, that all the categories that could possibly be involved in our industry now is the masonry side of things, the brickwork, the stonework, or stonemasons more so. I think that is something that they're creating fences as well, and I think that could possibly be part of a new category for the awards, if the guys want to put in their hand up and maybe discuss that and bring that into the industry. There's a lot of chalk and cheese in the selection of what is actually going into the standards, I suppose, for the industry. So, for example, colorbond fence, there's some that are just basic colorbond fences. Then you'll move into some that are on retaining walls, and then some that are on stonework, and then some that are really run-of-the-mill, just basic maintenance on fences, where we're pulled down backyard fences, boundary fences, and put new ones up. So there seems to be a lot of different ideals on where things are progress, and probably to highlight it would be the gates in the system, regional versus urban, where we sort of sit. I'd like to see a lot more regional fencing come up through that, because there is so much regional fencing going on in Australia. It's not just all happening in the city. So I'd like to see something like versus, you have a colorbond fence that's on the coast and then one that's in the bush, or regional centres. They're completely opposite. You'll see some that are high end, then you'll just see some that could be basic maintenance or New South Wales or Australian housing, for example. Doesn't take it away from the fences that are putting it in, but that may be something that I would like to see probably recognised a little bit more next year. What I would really, really like to do, though, firstly, is, as I said, recognise all the winners and the fantastic job that they're doing. But more importantly, there's two people that put this together. That's Cherie and Steve Mazur. They run this all year. They're the directors of the Fencing Industry Australia. Dana, who does a lot of the media side with her business. There is so much that goes on behind the scenes. The sponsors that work with Defence Industry Australia that are sponsoring these events and the books and everything else that goes on. It's really, really, really good. So big shout out to those guys. Without you guys, none of this would have ever happened. One of the big things that is happening, or two of the big things that are happening, and one of them is the Gate Fencing Australia, or Fencing Gate Australia, whatever you want to call it, the Gate Industry Australia, probably the correct term, is that has come leaps and bounds in 12 months. So I talked to Adrian from Ideal Gates and Automation this time last year about what is happening in the gate world and how the safety side of things and the standards of installations was just pretty much non-existent. 12 months down the track, the committee for the Gate Australia has made their first draft for the standards, and that's something that is really, really exciting. I will save a lot of that for another podcast with Adrian. I'll get him on. But there's a lot of movement happening in our industry. Again, apprentices, we're trying to make it a trade-based industry so we get recognised. But it's not just about the recognition, but it's about the training. So we can bring people into our industry and actually train them and have the facilities to be able to train them. So CJ asked a question the other day, is how does he get involved in all of this? And the way to get involved is to recognise that there is an actual Fencing Industry Australia. You can follow these podcasts. Please click on the links and follow the podcast along and subscribe. The more subscribers we have, the better things go. I don't speak for the Fencing Industry Australia per se. I don't have that privilege, but I do have the privilege that I can shout out to them and encourage them along and tell them what a great job they're doing. So that is where I come from. As you know, I do a lot of coaching for the business, for fencers in the business, to not only create better businesses for them, but to be sustainable and to be viable and to make more money for you guys that are on the ground. There is so many hidden traps and pitfalls that you can fall into, but there are so many more lucrative things that you can do. Going back 30 years, we didn't have this. Going back 5 years ago, we didn't have this industry Australia. So being able to now rub shoulders with other people that are either in the same boat as you or going through the same things that you've gone through or have been through the same things that you have is absolutely fantastic. There's so much that we can do and learn from by being part of this industry. Just recognizing how it can actually boost your business is absolutely huge as well. So being able to go down and mix with other people. I've seen blokes who were down there this year who had nominated in different things and made the top 10 finalists, and for the first time. I've seen blokes who've gone down and won the top prize. Being able to talk to them and see the elation in their faces of, this is the first time I've done this and I've won. It's just growing and growing and growing every year. So I really encourage you guys to start getting your jobs together. You will be able to start entering for 2025. This time again next year, they'll have the 2025 awards. So there's a lot of time to get organised. Start creating folders, start creating pictures. At the moment, they're not accepting videos, but do your pictures, take shots of your jobs. I really encourage all you guys to do this anyway, whether you want to enter them and have a bit of recognition, a bit of a boost. It is all good kudos for your business when you can get a few things under your belt and get a bit recognised in our world. And the best thing about it is you're getting recognised by your peers. So whether you win, lose, just being part of it and being down there mixing with other fencers is, as I said, is great. So I would encourage fencers to start documenting your work, join associations and get ready to submit next year. It will come around very quickly. The year we're in the end of March already, 2025, and it is already going super quick. So, as I said, the awards will be 2026 next year. Sorry, I did say 25, but it will be 2026 next year for the 2025 awards. So that's the recap of what happened in Sydney. Been a good story told. Congratulations again to all the winners. Thanks, Cherie and Steve, for organising this once again. Great to catch up with everybody that I did catch up. Sorry that I didn't catch up with everybody. There's just way too many people there. And getting to know different walks of life, different niches. Good to see you young fellas there. Guerrilla fencing, I really was impressed that you guys made an effort and came down. That was really good. And I'll follow you guys closely. Reach out if you need a hand with anything. But for the rest of the fences, it was just awesome. Great to catch up and network with people again. It's just so powerful, and I don't really think a lot of you fencers are out there just digging holes every day and don't think much of it. But it is really, really powerful when you can chat with somebody who's been there, done it, or if you're learning, it's such a good thing. So really pleased to have attended, and well worth it. I'll make sure I am definitely there again next year. I do hear a lot of people say that they can't afford to take the time off work to go down. And look, I understand it. It does become a little bit costly sometimes, but with air flights and accommodation and the tickets to the dinner and that. But I encourage you to start putting a few dollars away now each week. You'll have money aside next year to go down, because it is absolutely worth every cent you pay to go down and just be around other fencers in the same room. Okay, guys, that's me. That's my spiel. I will talk to you all again very soon. Take it easy.
Thanks again for listening to the Fencer's Life Podcast. Be sure to follow on Twitter, Instagram, or the free Facebook group, The Fence Posts. And of course, Simon's personal Facebook, facebook.com/Simon M. Davis 1. And also check out Spotify to get weekly episodes. If you believe Simon can help you make a difference in your fencing business, please reach out to him on Messenger or visit his coaching mentoring site at theprofitablefencer.com. Until then, stay safe and happy fencing.